I think we are really kind of entering a time where the third-party games are no longer going to be what we look at as like exclusives or anything like that. And I think that's probably going to be for the better. Now, Xbox will probably still get skipped on some things or get things later than PlayStation, and I think that's going to be Microsoft's biggest problem. And one of the reasons why that's going to be a big problem is because, obviously we live in a situation where the Xbox is a console that just is not highly sought after. And, it wouldn't be unfair to say Microsoft doesn't care if it sells or not. I mean, they realistically on Black Friday didn't do much in terms of sales to try and, get that thing sold and getting that thing into people's homes. So, it's kind of clear that they don't exactly care about that as much as, Sony or Nintendo. Nintendo ran really good deals at the end of the life cycle of the Switch. But, I think the Switch still has more life in it, to be honest with you. But, that's neither here nor there. When it comes to Xbox, this is something I think a lot of fans would actually be really cool with. And I know myself, I think this would be a really cool thing indeed. So why don't we go ahead and get into it and see what you guys think. Hey everybody, I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel. It means a lot to me personally. And, again, I do daily video game content. If you guys are into that, then, hey, look no further. I try to be fun yet informative, so there is that. Now, again, the first two games in this series are on Xbox, right? Which, again, this was really cool, because back in the day when I had a Dreamcast, man, Shenmue was really unlike anything I've ever seen. And Shenmue 3 came out as a PlayStation exclusive, but now it looks like that exclusivity, could be coming to an end. It could be coming to Xbox finally, which I think would be really, really cool. So, Shenmue fans are asking Xbox players to make some noise after Inen acquires the publishing rights. So think about that for a second. Like, the first two remastered games are on Xbox, and this one would be really cool to get on Xbox as well. So since its arrival of Shenmue 3 in 2019, many Xbox fans have been wondering if the third game will ever make its way across Microsoft's console platforms. Well, it might seem like the ship has sailed since that point. There are now renewed hopes. It all stems from the announcement by publisher Inen recently, revealing last week how it would be collaborating with developer Yznet once more, as it's now officially acquired the publishing rights to Shenmue 3 and would have some news to share about this soon. And I quote, "Alright, let's make some proper announcements about all of this, shall we? We are thrilled to announce that we will once again be collaborating with Yznet in the future, as we have now officially acquired publishing rights to Shenmue 3. We'll have some news to share about this soon enough. If you're interested, watch this space." Press release, somebody was like, please release it on Xbox and Switch. Also, is there a possibility for a collection release with all three games in one package with extra content like behind the scenes, material, art, and potential plot points for 4 and so on. Unsurprisingly, it did lead to immediate requests for release on Xbox as well as other platforms. One account on social media is also calling for Xbox players to make some noise and even tag Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer. Big news, Xbox players and in games now have publishing rights to Shenmue 3 and wants to make it more accessible to players. If you're interested, share and make some noise. The action-adventure game based on the famous Sega series by industry legend Yu Suzuki was originally released on the PlayStation 4 and Windows after a successful Kickstarter campaign. So, again, it's something that I think a lot of people would be interested in. I know it's a niche game, or a little bit more of a niche game, but I think that it is really cool. So anyway, the game's basically about this. It says, journey deep into rural China as you take on the role of Ryu Hazuki, a Japanese teenager hell-bent on finding his father's killer. A story of adventures, mystery, and friendship, martial arts, and ultimately revenge. So again, I think this is nothing but good news. It would line up, you want to make a little bit more money on it. Why not go ahead and put the game out there and see what can happen. I think that would be really cool if they actually did that. Not only would that be really cool, but I feel like, it would be, a complete deal for Xbox fans, to finally get something like that. It makes a lot of sense to me for them to do it, and it's a good game. To be clear, I have it. I do own it on the PlayStation 4, and so I'm pretty good with that. But I would also get that on Xbox. I mean, why wouldn't I? It really does seem like a really cool thing to kind of be able to get the complete collection on there and things like that. And that is exactly what I think Microsoft has been kind of missing lately with what they're doing. It's like this would be the perfect get for them to be able to go out there and say, okay, well, now we've bought we're able to bring Shenmue 3 to Xbox platforms. Now, it's been 5 years, so obviously that's not an ideal situation for everybody or for every game, because I feel like ideally you want these games to come to the platform like as soon as possible. And what's funny is we never really got the full-on reason and why that game couldn't come to Xbox sooner, because to be honest with you, Sony only helped with like a very small bit of the game itself, going to Xbox, or excuse me, PlayStation. It was one of those things where I can still remember that E3, right, where they were like, oh, hey, we've got this game or that game, and to me, it was like that was that year that they were doing, I think it was The Last Guardian or whatever it was too, and they had nicknamed it like the Dream Showcase or whatever. That never really like stood out to me, like, to be honest with you, that they did that. I just always thought, it was kind of crummy in general, because at the end of the day, you have a situation where gamers were like, oh wow, and then it was like a game that didn't really, in my opinion, end up getting the big hype that it deserved. Unfortunately, I really did think that it deserved a full-on release with like the full money. I didn't think that they actually were able to invest and things, that it would be one of those things that kind of happens, where everybody's like, oh man, I can't wait to get these games or whatever, or Sony's so great. It really felt like it was just a thing where Sony was trying to look good to everybody around, and so that's kind of what happened, and so for me, when I look at this and I go, okay, well, that's a very interesting kind of situation that kind of happened from that. I just feel like it really didn't end up being as good as it could have been. So I'm not saying the game's bad in any way or terrible or anything. I think overall the game is very much true to the originals, and maybe in a certain way kind of stuck in the past when it comes to the gameplay style, but still worthy if you're like an old Sega head like me, or if you really want to get a chance to kind of go and play these games and just have a chance to kind of go out there and say, hey, I have the complete set of Shenmue or whatever. They're still fun games to play, for sure. I feel like even as we head into 2025, there's just some games that have a great story, and that's one of them. So you might feel the same way as me. Like I said, when I played the original Shenmue and I beat it on the Dreamcast back in the day when it was new, and I was just like, holy cow. I just remember there not being anything like that at the time, that kind of level of immersion and things like that. So I really do feel like they kind of nailed the aesthetic and kind of the way that they were kind of going for something different for the time, and I feel like that's a good thing. They kind of did that, and especially with the disarray that we find games in these days, that's really one of those things that I'll have to check out, just cool to see, and I hope that it does come. I know if you're an Xbox fan, it really will kind of make your day if you play if you haven't played these games, go ahead and and say, oh, give it a try. As far as I can tell, it would be really cool to see that happen. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys fans of the Shenmue series? I would love to hear your thought process, and I would love to hear what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. I certainly do appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Please like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. It really does mean a lot to me if you guys go out there and help out the channel. So rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up. I'll catch you next time. Crap gamer out.